What is going on, everybody? We are live. Welcome to the SB Fantasy Football Podcast with your pals Alan and Rapid I'm Alan.
I'm Rapid Dave. What's up, man?
You know what? It's just trying to make it through another week with no fantasy football, really.
I've been enjoying it.
Let's say I'm surviving.
Yeah.
Um,
Just do DFS, man. DFS will get you there, and you're
yeah.
still going to lose, so it doesn't matter. So you should feel
Oh,
right at home. You know what I'm saying?
what's up, Duncan?
I
Duncan's in the
say,
house.
I say, go back to doing the double ups. You know, like those were fun, just like those little quick double ups, and we'll see if we can't get some viewers or listeners or whatever involved, and be like, hey, just hop into this at $1. You know, if you win, you get bragging rights, but you also, obviously win a buck or two. But anyway.
Yeah.
Man, I get like 35 notifications that this dude goes live every day. Holy moly.
Who is it, Steve?
Snowman.
Snowman?
I
Yeah,
mean, dude,
goes live a lot.
I just goes live. That guy, man, he's always doing something. He's got his hands in everything.
He's got to do something since the 49ers suck. So,
Yeah. It's a rough year for them. Who saw that coming? Like, they went from just, hey, this team can get it done to, yeah, no, we're not good at all, buddy. Like, things are falling off. Everything's terrible.
Ooh. Not gonna cut it, buddy. Not gonna. I was going back and I was looking at our draft board for our Gangster League, and I specifically was reviewing one the new guy, the winner of the Anthony Carne Asada Bondurant Memorial Trophy.
Oh yeah,
and
he saved me.
Yeah,
he saved me
I remember on draft day people going, "This guy, he's drafting a hell of a team," and then yeah, not so much.
Yeah, like I said, he picked. I was like, me and him were we were sitting next to each other talking, and like we'd have players like, we wouldn't say who we were going to pick or whatever. Like it's between like by the, you already have like 6-7 beers. You're like, I mean, it's between this guy and this guy, man. And he goes, well, whatever one you don't pick, I'm picking. And I would say the same thing. And I was like, all right, well that one. But dude, his whole team IR. That's what his team name should have been before the end of the season. Just IR, underperforming or bust. Like it was insane. All the players he had, and like the complete opposite was for Jerry, the guy who won the league. We looked at Jerry and go, Jerry's getting value on every single. He got these guys 2 rounds later than they should have went, and he just picking them off one at a time. Of course, he won the league. I think he had the least amount of action or pickups or something like that too. So, I mean, he literally won his draft or won the league from the draft. He drafted a hell of a team. Great value. Yeah, I thought the 49ers would be great too, man. That's why I picked to win the West, and then obviously go back to the. It was between them and the Eagles for the Super Bowl, I think, or the NFC Championship. I figured one of those two teams would make it there. I still think the Eagles, they'll obviously make it to the championship team or a game because the NFC. I figured it was the Niners, and let's throw the Lions in there too. Niners, Lions, and whatever I just said, Eagles. Those are the only 3 good teams in the NFC. The rest of the teams are awful. Like they're just not good. And I was like, it's going to be between these 3 teams. That's it. And as the season went on, I'm like, Jesus, man, what is going on? I was just waiting. And it was like, I think 6, maybe 8 weeks in. And everybody was like, just chill out because this is where they were like last year.
Right.
And flipped the switch, just motored on and took off and never looked back. And boy, oh boy, I don't know. I mean, they had a bunch of injuries and of course, just issues. So they've had some problems. They've had some problems,
but also like, so let me I pulled it up because I just wanted to go over it because you say there's a lot of injuries, but there's also like some questionable pickups here. So keeper was AJ Brown.
Are you going back to the
going back to the Gangster League? Yeah, I'm looking at new guy, last place.
I was like, we're talking about something else.
And he had the number 2 pick.
Yeah.
Okay. Number 2 pick goes with CMC. That didn't quite work out. Devin A. Chain was okay. He had his weeks, right?
We finished top 5, right?
It was pretty close to it. Yeah, it was pretty close. Cooper Kupp.
It's a bust.
Not quite. Stephon Diggs.
Got hurt.
Yeah. Dak.
Got hurt.
Calvin Ridley. Wasn't that guy.
3 good games maybe this year. 3 good ones. This is a
maybe.
tough stride for anybody. Like, I think Pollard did okay, but then you had the Mason Crosby, what's his name? You know, it was just a
Will
mashup and
Levis.
mix up, and everybody. Will Levis was hurt, so yeah,
Yeah, Jake Ferguson, and that was
yeah,
the 8th round pick. Yeah,
yeah. Everybody was
Zach
keeping an eye on him.
Moss, he
Zach
got
Moss
hurt, but
got
was
hurt
okay even
week
before he
3,
got hurt, right?
week 3, week
Chris
4.
Christian Watson wasn't that guy this year. Um,
They were talking about him in the playoffs too. Like, well, they're not going to have Christian Watson. I go, who gives a shit? I was like,
right.
he hasn't done it. You know, he hasn't been anything all year, and they
Yeah,
kind of thought he was going to be. It was him and Reed they were talking about, and then yeah, he went Watson.
yeah. Jerome Ford, not that guy this year. The Jets defense in the 12th round. Trevor Lawrence,
I
no.
mean, that was a fine pick, I think, until they fired Saleh like 4 weeks in.
Yeah, their defense got much worse when they got rid of Saleh.
Yeah, yeah.
Jason Sanders,
Who the hell's
eh,
the kicker? Oh, he was like
kicker from Miami.
shit. He was
Uh,
a top kicker too.
Jerry Judy didn't work out until about the second half of the year, but
Yeah, you had to get
Chuba,
Watson handy out of the way.
Chuba started off good and then I'd say kind of fizzled towards the end of the year.
He
And then
finished top 5, I think.
Gabe Davis.
Oh, he was a bust for sure. I had him in the Henson league, and this guy sucks. Like when Henson was like, "Hey, you need to make some cuts." I go, "Yeah, no problem."
Done.
Here's
Done.
Gabe Davis. Keep him. I don't know why I got him. And he had like a good game, I think, like once, but I think it might have been like last week or after the
Yeah,
season was over.
yeah. I mean, I cut both my defenses. Um, and then I cut all like 12 Raiders quarterbacks I had. Like
It's
and like
easy to
every
do.
Raiders quarterback is like cut them all, cut them
Yeah.
all. All right, so let's get into it. We're talking first, second, and third team, all fantasy. This are all fantasy teams this year. Do you want to start at 3 and work our way up to 1?
Yeah, let's do team 3. Team 3.
Okay. All right. Team 3, my QB. Now I pulled my scoring off of what did I say? It was Pro Football Focus, I think it was.
Yeah, but
For
take your scoring, but I mean, you didn't just go down the rankings and just pick the.
no,
Okay,
no, no, no,
okay.
no.
No,
Yeah,
I
no,
mean
I didn't.
there
But
is
that's where I got my scoring off of their PPR, right?
there's
I
yeah.
used their scoring because that's kind of more of a default scoring, versus using something like Yahoo only does like half point PPR is their default scoring.
Well, let me
Our
ask you this: did they go to
our
week 18?
and it did go to week 18. Yes,
You can't use it. It's
it,
irrelevant.
it, I don't think it's irrelevant because
Okay. Well, let's just go then. Yeah,
okay,
you can use
so
your phony
you
stats.
say it's irrelevant, but you had a league that went to week 18.
Yeah, but that's you know that,
There we
that
go.
that's a bush league that I'm in that
Okay.
takes the balance of 2 weeks. So
Yeah.
it's just that. But yeah, no, I would
Um,
never consider it.
but it was factored in with my decisions, though.
Yeah.
Let me say that.
I know. I mean, I know where this is going.
No,
That's fine.
no, I factored in not using week 18 into my decisions.
All right. All
Oh,
right.
in a lot of my decisions.
Oh,
Okay.
sure. Sure.
First, third team QB, one Mr. Baker Mayfield.
Bing.
Had him at third team. He scored 381 points. And part of what I factored into this, because like I said, I didn't just go straight down the list 1, 2, 3, right? The big thing that I looked at was week 16 and 17 if I had guys that were close. What did you do for me playoff weeks, which is typically week 16 and week 17? And he had 23.3 and 34 point. You got your 34.6 championship week.
Solid.
And what else could you say about Baker? I mean, he had a good year. He had a really good year, right?
Obviously I go off of the scoring in our league because that's what I care about more than anything. So
Right.
he had 502.8 points. One very, very important thing, and you're going to notice this trend as we go higher. This is something that mattered to me. He played 16 games, right?
Okay.
He played every freaking game. Now he boomed 8 times, right? That means significantly over his projected. Boomed 8 times, only busted 3 throughout the whole season. So he was solid, scored a ton of points, got you into the playoffs and might have won the whole dang thing for you. He had a great season. Baker was
Okay.
back, baby. We were
Yeah.
excited to see him.
Yep. I think there's a couple guys that I got in here that might have had a little bit of injury issue, but it wasn't. So like I'll go right here. My 13 wide receivers. We got 3 wide receivers. I got
Oh,
Scary Terry.
you're doing the bottom 3 or bottom
This
2?
is team 3. Team 3.
Team
Team 3.
Okay.
Yeah. Scary Terry McLaurin had a great year this year, 267.8. CD Lamb, as bad as he he still produced 263.8 or
Mhm.
263.4. And then my third wide receiver, Mike Evans. Uh, Missed some time with injury this year, but a few games in the middle of the season, was great at the beginning of the season. Championship week, 29.7, right? Uh, the first round of the playoffs, 11.9. Nothing big, but it's Mike Evans, right? I had a hard time. I would have had a hard time keeping him off my list, really. He's one of
Yeah.
my favorite players. I try to draft him every year because I know he's just going to do nothing but produce every year.
Yeah, Baker loves giving them the ball. I mean, forces it. I mean, they're on the one and they're throwing it. You know what I mean? Rather than handing off to Bucky or Rashad White. I mean, throwing that crazy pass. It was threaded between a defender had his back to him or back to Baker. He's got his arms up. The ball goes inches over that dude's helmet. And like Mike Evans saw the ball at the last effing second, still caught it. I mean, it was bang, bang, bang. He's an honorable mention, but he's not in my top nine.
Okay.
I've got Malik Neighbors on the third squad, 277, played 14 games, boom 5, busted twice, um, on a terrible team, but an amazing player, obviously, and good things to come for them if they figure out their quarterback situation. Michael Lopez in the house. What's up, brother?
What's up,
Uh,
Michael?
Obviously, CD Lamb. I'm not leaving him out. He's not a. I wouldn't even consider him like a bust, per se, but he just didn't do what Dak got hurt. A lot of things piled up, but he was still a top 10 receiver. And he only missed one game, and it was the final game of the season for us for fantasy. And that's when it was like, all right, well, that's it. You know what I mean? I'm gonna give props to Jackson Smith and Jigba. He
Okay.
made the list. The guy played every single game, scored 257.35 PPR points, boom 5 times, busted 4, but he was solid. It was fun to watch him play. He's got a great future ahead of him. But yeah, I've got Mike Evans right there next to Jackson, and yeah, I mean he would have
If I
absolutely.
remember right, now I did this list last week, but I'm pretty sure I was between Mike Evans and Jackson Smith. Like I think that's kind of where I fell. And to me, it's like Jackson Smith had a great year.
Yeah,
I had him in several leagues this year. I look for that guy to have an even bigger year next year. Probably going to have him pretty high in my rankings next year. Probably a top 10 wide receiver. Um,
yeah.
with Tyler Lockett kind of taking a back seat a little bit, right? Jackson Smith really stepped up. He stepped up a lot of weeks when DK wasn't that great. DK was just kind of, but a lot
You
of that
couldn't get him the
falls.
ball. Gino couldn't get him the ball. It's not. I wouldn't say it's anything on him, but I did make a note as well. Lad McConkey, honorable mention. The guy had a good season. Just he fell out of the top. He wasn't top 9 guy, top
He
10, but he could get
his
better. He's a
his second
target
half of the
magnet.
year was better. His first half of the year was a little slow,
Mhm.
but so was Justin Herbert.
Yeah.
And as Herbert's numbers picked up, McConkey's numbers picked up, obviously, right? But yeah,
Mhm.
I the second half of the year, Lad McConkey was almost a must start. He really was. He played really great.
Absolutely. He was a
Uh,
steal.
running running backs, third team. I got Josh Jacobs and Kyron Williams coming in. Josh Jacobs came in at 293. Kyron came in at 272. Um, Championship week, Josh Jacobs didn't do much for you. You got you 10.2 points. The first round of the playoffs, he would have gotten you 20.7 to help get you into to the championship there. Then Kyron was 16 and 19. So both good years. Kyron just was good at getting in the end zone, right? It's going to get you in the end zone. It's going to pick up a few passes. Um, but yeah,
Yeah. I have A Chain there. He's the RB1 in the third team there. 305 points, didn't miss a game. Decent season. And then I did have Josh Jacobs there. With 295 points, Green Bay started running the ball like crazy, and I think that says a lot for next year. I mean, he scored. Did he get multiple hat tricks this year? It was something. I feel like he had multiple touchdown games, and then boy, he just was falling in the end zone a handful of weeks. So he had a great season. So he's team 3 honors for sure.
there you go. Devin A. Chain was a guy that I did leave off my list this year. Um, it to me, it just boiled down to, yeah, he didn't miss any time, but if Tua wasn't there, he was non-existent. You know, and in the weeks that he was bad, he was really, really bad. And
That
that
must mean
was
that the
kind
weeks that he was good, it was really freaking good because
he
he
had
made
some
enough to finish 5th.
yeah. Josh Jacobs did have week 12 against San Francisco, he had 3 touchdowns, and week 14 against Detroit, he had 3 touchdowns. So yeah, he got you 3 touchdown games. Tight end number 3, um, Jonnu Smith. I love Jonnu Smith this year. 222.3 points. Uh, with him, majority of it was more of the second half of the season versus the first half of the season. But yeah, I mean, and he was steady, just steady on the wheel. Plug and play. He's going to get you 10 plus points a week.
Yeah, I agree. I had Johnny there. I mean, he was he had a great season. I'm looking forward to seeing him go forward as long as Tua isn't under center because he became he was their wide receiver one. I mean, he's tight end, but he's a target magnet and with I guess with Tyreek wanting out. All right, later. You know what I mean? Like
Even like the last few weeks without Tua,
Mm,
he still got you 12 and 11 points in your playoff rounds, which
he's
from your
saving
tight end position is good, right?
Mhm.
He's going to be top 5 tight end with those numbers. Tight end numbers all around were just kind of down this year, and then but you also had some guys who just started off the year really rough. Mark Andrews, right? But then Mark Andrews scored you 8 touchdowns in the last 9 weeks or something along those lines. 7 in the last 9 or 8 in the last 9. You got you in the end zone. Really started to pick it up the last part of the year.
Yeah. The thing I
Uh,
liked about Johnny was he played 15 games, 15 out of 16, only missed 1 week. He boomed 6 times, he busted once. So that kind of production, he's team 3 worthy all day.
oh yeah,
Maybe team 2 next year.
maybe. And then I went ahead and selected a kicker. I
Damn
don't know if
right.
you did, I don't know if you did kickers or not, huh? You did?
Hell yeah.
I got Dicker the kicker. Cameron Dicker, 179 points, got you 17 points championship week. Right? Um, and he goes by Dicker the kicker, right?
Yeah.
Yeah.
205 points, played every game, boomed 4 times, busted once, had a very steady season. Dude was on fire. And I love it. I love his name, right?
Yeah.
Where's the
So,
Kyle Pitts honorable mention? Go back and check the shorts. Alan gives him a shout out.
go yourself, Kyle Pitts. All right.
It's not his
Um,
fault. I mean, some of
it
it
is
is.
his fault.
He dropped a lot of
I love the clip that went out there where it was Michael Penix's first game. Like, yeah, just making a real rookie mistake here, throwing the ball to Kyle Pitts, goes right in his arms, and he just basically hands it off to the defensive back. Like, come on,
rookie mistake.
rookie mistakes. You don't
So
throw it to Kyle.
that's our team 3. Again, Baker, Malik Neighbors, CD Lamb, Jackson Smith, and Jigba, Devon A. Chain, Josh Jacobs, Johnny Smith, and Cameron Dicker for me. Alan?
Yeah, Baker Mayfield, Terry McLaurin, CeeDee Lamb, Mike Evans, Josh Jacobs, Kyron Williams, Jonnu Smith, and Dicker the kicker.
Yeah, baby.
Um,
Moving on to team 2.
Second team, QB, Joe Burrow.
Absolutely.
381 total points on the year. Championship week, he got you 37 points. First round of the playoffs, he got you 22 points. Um, what can you say? You
Yeah, he
know,
played every week. That's unlike Joe. Joe usually gets hurt, missing some time and things like that. He was just on a tear. The good thing about the bonus thing about the Bengals this year is that they always had to play. They had to keep playing, right? They were never ahead. They were never like running out the clock. They're right. Their defense gives up 40 points. They got to score 40, right? He boomed 7 times, busted only once, 534 points in our league. Great season. Great season.
yeah, yep. Wide receivers. Here's a little. I got 2 rookies in my 3 for my second team. I got Brian Thomas Jr.
Mm-hmm.
284 points this year. Got you 23.9 championship week. Drake London coming in at 280 points. Got you
He's a
17
rookie.
points.
I thought it was the second
No,
year.
he's a second year. But
Okay.
my third rookie is one Mr. Malik Neighbors.
Moved him up.
273 points. Got you 36.1 points championship week. Like, for some of these guys that were close, that's what I looked at, right? Was what did you do for me the playoff weeks? And I mean, those three guys right there all had big weeks. Drake London was a guy that I predicted to have a big season this year. I know he was in my top 10, and I thought he could have finished anywhere as high as one this year, really. Um, and I think it says a lot for as bad of a year as Kirk Cousins had. Um, Drake London was his go-to guy
Yeah.
and produced just about every single week.
So the only difference between the second team and third team for us, it looks like we swapped out Terry McLaurin. You have Malik Neighbors up there. I have Terry McLaurin in my team too. Him and boy, he was balling out. Him and Jaden Daniels were just clicking on all cylinders. All these guys played all their game, every single game. You know, some bust from Drake, but he boomed a couple weeks. He was very steady. Let's just say that, right? Very steady, and that's what you want. I'd rather have a steady guy rather than the 50-point week followed by a 5-point week. It's going to kill you. But yeah, Brian Thomas Jr., Drake London, Terry McLaurin, and just phenomenal guys. Had a great year, great season. You were lucky to have them on your team.
Yeah, and I think what the difference for Terry McLaurin and Malik Neighbors for me was the playoff weeks. Championship week, Terry McLaurin only got you 1.5 points.
Killed you. Absolutely killed you.
And this is a season where, Malik Neighbors had 273 points. Terry McLaurin had 267. Malik passed him up championship week for the season. And going into the playoffs, that first week of the playoffs, Terry did get you 17 points. Malik got you 13.8 points. But for me, it was the championship week where he showed up and just balled out completely. So, running backs, my two running backs, Bijan Robinson coming in at 341.7 points, and Derrick Henry at 336.4. Championship week, they both got you 24 points. Bijan got you 24.8. Derrick Henry got you 24.5. First round of the playoffs, Bijan got you 24.3, and Henry got you 20.9.
I have the same guys. Henry was one of those guys where it was an anytime touchdown score like every single week, like almost with Kyron, right? When you mentioned your team three, is that those guys got in the end zone like every single week, and they had a monster. Derrick Henry had a monster year. Both played 16 games. They both boomed quite a bit, 5 and 6 respectively. They only busted twice, so even with a bust, you're still getting like mid, 5 or 6, 7 points or something like that. But still, it's like the rest of the year outweighed it so much. And I think Derrick Henry was a good. I can't remember what his ADP was, and I thought I had it written down. I don't, but I think he was like a steal. People are like, some people are really high on him, some people are really low, and it's like I told everybody that they like his over under on touchdowns. I think was like 10.5. At the beginning, I was like, you're gonna hammer the over, man. He's gonna be the guy that just falls in his own. And he was, even when they're on the one. Yeah, Justice Hill came in every so often and stole a touchdown from him, but it wasn't Lamar. You know what I mean? Lamar was more than happy to hand that ball off. Now, he ran wild last week. He was running all over the damn place. But, Derrick Henry had a hell of a year. Bijan did what he could with what he could. Yeah, he's still amazing. In Dynasty, dude's worth every penny you pay to get him, or and hold on to him, obviously.
Yep. Hold on loosely and don't let go.
It's all that's playing in my head right now. Like, it's just that shit came on the radio the other day. I was like, man, wish I was in the car by myself.
Tight ends. And this guy right here was not a guy that I was high on going into the season. I didn't buy all the hype on him, but Trey McBride, 249.8 points, 5 points in first week of the playoffs, but championship week, 30.3 points. Just completely balled out championship week. I also think Kyler had a little bit of a better year than I thought he was going to have. I didn't really expect Kyler to go the whole year. I didn't know who was going to be the next guy, but Kyler did have his traditional dip after Call of Duty. Mm-hmm. Not as extreme as it's been in years past, but still had a dip. But no, Trey McBride had himself a. But also, you didn't get the year out of Marvin Harrison Jr. that you thought you were going to get. Was really expecting him to have a better year this year. But yeah.
The crazy thing about with Trey McBride, the only reason he's not number one here is he didn't get the end zone like ever. I think until championship week, he got
Yeah,
in the end
he had
zone.
one touchdown all year.
He had one
Yeah.
touchdown all year, and you're talking about he was rocking 249.8 points, right? The leader of the tight ends is 264. He gets the end zone a handful of like just sporadically throughout the year. He's tight end one, man. Like, and that's they just didn't get him in the end zone, and he did great. Andre will answer your question when we're done with tier 2 here. We're almost done with team 2, bud. Last
Yeah.
one.
Kicker. Maybe a little bit of a surprise, maybe not. I don't know.
God.
Brandon Aubrey.
Oh, I know you. Oh, then I know who your number one is. But yeah, I feel you. I feel you.
And here's he outscored Chris Boswell for the season. He had 192 points. He was the number one kicker. He got you 1 point championship week.
Oh, pain. Yeah, I can see.
1
I can see
point.
you docketing for that. I can see it because if you had him, you're like, I'm guaranteeing my 10 points here to my 10 to 12 points. It's sitting there waiting for me, and then he delivers a one, and it's not his fault, obviously, but he did miss some. He missed some kicks. He shorted up a couple kicks. There's just problems in Dallas, obviously. There's
Here's the
just
thing.
problems in Dallas.
He's still probably the best kicker in the league right now,
Yeah.
right? But
He
yeah,
over he overtook he overtook Justin Tucker. He really did. And the guy
Justin Tucker is I
yeah,
don't even
yeah.
unplayable at this point.
So
Unplayable.
we have our kickers reversed. I have Chris Boswell because in my league, Aubrey outscored him. But they both played 16
He
games.
outscored him here.
But with Boswell, the cool thing about it is no one knew that the Steelers were not going to be able to score touchdowns this year. They were going to be able to get close enough for field goals, and they just chipped away the entire year. And he did great. He scored you 223 points, 16 games, played them all, boom 6 times, busted once. Yeah, big hell of a season for him. Hell of a season. He came out of nowhere too. It's like because everybody's clamoring over Brandon Aubrey and Justin Tucker and all this, whatever. And here's Chris Boswell just hanging out. I mean, you got the draft up. When was he drafted? Last round? You still
Who?
have it up? Chris Boswell.
Um,
No, you don't have to look it up. You don't have to bog it.
give me 2
It's
seconds.
on me. It's on me. Um,
Chris
but yeah, Andre,
Boswell.
right after he looks this up, we'll get to your question because Andre's asking, "Hey fellas, who are the 5 players you don't want to leave any drafts without next year?" And I've got some. And they're on this list. I dropped Tucker for Boswell week 2. And that's why you're a champion, Mike. That's why you're a champion. Or is it Michael? Michael. I'll call you Michael. How about that?
No, Chris Boswell wasn't drafted in our league.
Undrafted, picked up, bing bang boom. You can win your league.
But
Picking up
it's
players.
kicker, right? Kickers
Kicker.
are. I got a
I
kick
mean,
out of it.
he's
Let's stay on kickers for a second because I
yeah.
texted you. Was it Monday night? The Monday night game or Sunday night?
Oh, the Washington game with Gonzalez.
Washington game.
Mhm.
Washington's out there rolling with their 6th kicker of the year. They're out there streaming kickers like they're playing fantasy football this year. Like when I heard that, I just started laughing. I was like, dude, they're on their 6th kicker. And that's the first thing I thought. I was like, they're me. They're streaming kickers.
Yeah. They're not sitting around waiting for this dude to figure out what's up. You know what I mean? And like the Niners, I'm out, man. I'm out. Once that guy missed like 4 kicks in one game, banking off the post, putting it in the sideline, Aubrey drilled some cheerleader in the head. Poor lady.
Dude.
She was a nice lady too. All right. We have a question from the chat. We'll go ahead and handle it. Andre, I just said it, but I'll say it again. Hey, fellas, who are your 5 players you don't want to leave any drafts without next year? And it might be similar. Ours might be the same, but I will say this: like your round 1 guys, it's wherever you get the draft, right? It doesn't mean anything like when it comes to that. I mean, you're not if you're round 1, if you're 101, you're taking Chase or I don't know, right? But I want Gibbs, but I want him. I don't want the first round price tag. I want to be able to catch him in the second.
I want Gibbs or Montgomery.
Yeah.
I want a part of that Detroit run game. Because yes, even though Gibbs has shown he can carry the load as the number 1 guy, Detroit's not going to do that because they want to keep both of the running backs fresh, right? And if one goes down, the other one's going to step up and completely ball out. But honestly, if you had both, like, because I went into some drafts and I was like, I got Gibbs, and people like, aren't you going to get Montgomery too? I was like, no, I kind of want. He was falling a little bit late, and I was kicking around the idea of doing it. Had I drafted both of them and played them both, I would have been just fine until Montgomery went out because they
Yeah, if you
both
get them late, that's the whole thing with Montgomery, right? You
right.
get the later you wait and the more value you start growing, it starts growing on them. That's who you're looking for. Now, what about a receiver? Who are you not walking away from that you're like, dude, all season, gotta have you. You know, you can give a couple because obviously it's more than one, right? Because I'm like, we're not walking away with kickers and defenses and stuff like that.
Right, and so you wanna look at, like, so if we're going like Jahmyr Gibbs, right? So we're getting rid of that first round talent, right? And so you're looking like more around along the lines of that second round. A guy that I think you can get in that second, third round next year. Malik Neighbors isn't going to be a number one first round pick next year. He's
No.
just not. But he's going to come really close to producing those types of numbers. A Malik Neighbors, a Drake London again next year. I think he showed with Penix. He's also still going to be putting up numbers he did the last few weeks. Um, those are a couple guys. JMO is another guy, Jameson Williams, a guy who really excelled this year, really came into his own. I'm going to look for him to kind of continue that trend upward next year. Um, those are kind of three receivers that I'm looking at for somewhere in that second to third round range that I can get that are going to be good quality guys.
I'm with you on Drake London. I'm also going to throw in Scary Terry. He's back, baby. It's one of the players that we're always excited to draft. Who we want, and we were a little nervous this year. But yeah, I picked him up obviously in one of these elimination leagues, and loved it. I love the chemistry with him and Jaden. So him, Drake. I don't know about obviously I want if I get my hands on Jamar Chase again, I'm going to, and I will do the stack. I'll do the Burrow stack because Burrow, you'll get him in the 5th round. Maybe not after this year with him performing so high. There's Lamar, you know what I'm saying? And Allen is up there too, depending on what year it is, because they just swap out places. I mean, Allen was the top quarterback last year, not 2024, but 2023. And so, but I think Burrow is one of the guys I'm going to take. That's pretty much it. I think Burrow, give me Chase. I want Gibbs. If I can make the wraparound, obviously if you're taking Chase, you got to hope Gibbs falls, right? But
Right.
I do like Drake London. I do like Scary Terry. I do like Brian Thomas. You're not going to get that value out of him this year. He's gonna be second round action. I mean, he might be first round action depending on who's drafting. So, but yeah, those are some names, some players that I love. You notice I didn't say CeeDee Lamb. I don't know what's going on with the Cowboys. He's untouchable at this point. It's a mess. I don't know. And we will do our in upcoming streams, with luckily with the downtime, the off season or whatever, we're gonna do our top 5 that we want to hold on to, our bottom 5 we don't want any part of. Obviously, the bottom 5 is not going to be all just duds. They're going to be players that you're probably going to draft or want to draft, and we're going to tell you no, and we're going to tell you why.
Yeah.
So there you go.
Kind of. Let me give you one little strategy that I'm going to be looking at next year is going to be QB wise, and one thing that it's no matter how well they produce year in and year out, they finish in the top 10 the last 2 to 3 years every year, and they go super late in the draft. And I'm talking about Baker Mayfield and Jared Goff. Both guys are top 10 guys the last several years, and they're both guys that you can get super late in your drafts. Um, I don't know that I've kind of gone back and forth with QBs, and I think next year I might kind of take that wait and see approach and get one of these guys that everyone expects their numbers to fall off every year and they don't, right? They keep producing, they keep putting up good numbers. So those are two guys that I'm going to look to draft late again next year and just be perfectly happy with it. Again, both guys that are finishing in the top 10 in scoring for, like I said, the second or third year straight. Um, I'm gonna go. Those are guys that one constant theme that I noticed with a lot of people that were in here um, in championships. Those were two guys that they were talking about that they had. There was one guy that It was UNLV. He had them both. He had Goff and Baker, and he's like, I don't know which one to play championship week. Which one do I go with? You know, um, but yeah, those are two guys that you're going to be able to get super late. Andre said, BTJ and Gibbs. I'm shooting for these guys in every draft. Yeah, and also with Brian Thomas, I want to see who's going to be the coach there because it, there's rumors that obviously you've got to wait and see what's going to happen. But that's a team that Ben Johnson has shown some interest in is Jacksonville, and I'll tell you this: we talked about it last week. I'm high on if Ben Johnson goes to Jacksonville, I'm feeling better about Trevor Lawrence, Travis Etienne, Brian Thomas Jr., Evan Ingram, Brenton Strange. That offense there with an offensive mind like Ben Johnson running the show over there. That's a guy that could get me excited about Jacksonville in fantasy next year. See here, Andre, agree. The guy that won my league waited on a QB and got the league winning man himself, Jaden Daniels. Yeah.
Yeah. And those guys went late. I mean, Baker might go a little bit higher this year just because now it's like, okay, well, he's been producing every year and he got even more points this year. I would expect him to be top 5, obviously, next year. I don't see anything really changing. He's going to get Godwin back. The team is built perfectly. They look good on offense. They look good on defense. And, but they have to keep they keep their foot down. So, and Baker looks good. We just can wait.
Is a guy that came on strong.
Oh yeah. He was a waiver wire warrior right there. He might have won your damn league in the flex position. I mean, if you're in a 3 receiver league, he's probably your wide receiver 3. He probably was.
Yep.
So, all right, we're on to team 1, people. The top of the top, the league winners, the top dogs. Let's go.
QB1, Lamar Jackson.
You're damn right.
434.4 points this year. 21 points championship week, 29 first round of the playoffs. What can you say? It's not just that he does it passing, he does it rushing too, right? He's a quarterback and a running back in one.
Yeah. He worked out all the kinks. He looks good throwing it too. Got that quick little snap. He's got an arm on him. He can run. I mean, he just tears when he wants to run. You saw it last week. He just decided to run. I don't know if he was just taking the game over, but he took the game over. In the first quarter was insane.
I think he had like 60, 70 yards rushing, I think is what he finished with. But it's Derrick Henry opens up that offense. Derrick Henry had like 150 yards rushing this last week, I think it was. And so teams were more concerned about Derrick Henry running the ball than they were Lamar this year. And it just really helped out that offense. It opened up that offense a lot. An offense that was already good looked better this year.
Even with Zay Flowers out, you had Bateman running wild back there, and just a quick look up, zip pass. I mean, it was great. It was so fun to watch him all season. Obviously, our points difference. Obviously, I'm in the Yahoo League, 584 points. Next person close was 50 points behind him. You know what I mean? Joe Burrow was 50 points behind him. He was clear cut the QB1.
Mm-hmm.
Dude,
he was 50 points behind him here too.
Yeah, unbelievable.
Wide receivers: Jamar Chase, Justin Jefferson, Amon-Ra St. Brown.
Yep.
I mean, those 3 guys were. You're looking at, Chase ended up with 403 points, Justin Jefferson 317, Amon-Ra 316. Amon-Ra had a streak of, I want to say it was 9 weeks straight with a touchdown. 9 weeks straight.
Welcome back, Duncan.
Welcome back, Duncan. But yeah, I mean, those 3 guys in championship week, you're looking at 19, 17, and 20 points. First round of the playoffs, 22, 36, and 19. They were just, and the thing with Amon-Ra this year, he was just sneaky good. Like you'd be watching the game and you didn't really notice him, and then just boom, 20, 30-yard catch, touchdown, boom, touchdown. He would sneak up on you this year a lot. But yeah, those 3 guys were just far and away the best 3 out there this year.
Yeah, with Chase scoring 100 points more than the other 2 dudes, and with Jefferson having kind of Darnold. Darnold actually had a really good season until, I don't know, he fell apart at some point. But anyways, 100-point difference with Chase. They all played 16 games, which is a big part. You want your studs in there week in and week out. Chase did boom 4 times, only busted once. Jefferson 2 busts, 2 booms. St. Brown 2 booms and a 3 on a bust there. But yeah, I mean, these guys, they're the only 3 dudes that were above 300 points, and there was only one that was above 400. So
Yep.
absolutely insane year, high scoring, love it. Bring it, let's go. Let's run it back one more time.
Let's go. Running backs. I mean, Saquon and Gibbs, right?
Oh, yeah.
Saquon finished with 355. Jameer with the big week 18, 362. Again, my scoring was all the way through week 18. But if you look at championship week, Saquon 18 points, Jameer 26 points. First round of the playoffs, Saquon 27, Jameer 25.4. Both just great players this year, right? I mean, what can you say?
I mean, the highlight of the season is Saquon doing a reverse hurdle over someone, which was the effing play of the year. Yeah, I have them within 0.4 points of one another. That's only through 17 weeks. They both played 16. Obviously, with Saquon had just a great year. Obviously, he boomed 7 times, boomed 7 times, busted 3 times. Jameer boomed 3, busted once, but that's also he made these points up with sharing the backfield. And obviously, he benefited the last 4 weeks. When did Montgomery go down? Week 13 or week 14? I can't remember.
13 or 14.
So when he finally went, when Montgomery went down, it was the Gibbs show, right? So he got to just run wild. It was just great. Those are the 2. I'm not saying the most fun running backs. I am saying that they were amazing to watch. They were fun to watch, and they probably won you a league. I don't know how you drafted the rest of your team, but these 2 dudes were high performers.
Week 15, actually. He didn't go down to week 15.
Okay.
Yeah. Let's see here. Andre, we'll get to those questions here in a second. We're almost done with our first team. Tight end. I mean, Brock Bowers. He was the best tight end in the league this year. Hell, damn near top, almost close to. He's top 10 wide receiver.
Yeah.
If you just take him out of the tight end category and put him over in wide receiver category, he got you 262 points this year.
And who was throwing the ball? Like, you know what I'm saying? Like, you put him on a great team. Holy hell, watch out.
Yeah.
He's on the freaking Raiders. And I love the Raiders, but they got a problem. I mean, they got QB problems. They got all kinds of issues.
They rolled 3 different guys out there this year?
Aiden O'Connell, your boy Minshew. Who the hell was that other guy? It wasn't Rattler. Rattler's down in New Orleans. I can't think of the other dude's name.
I can't think of the other guy too. But there was a third guy too that played some.
Yeah, Home Depot. I think that was his name.
Yeah. But yeah, I mean, Brock Bowers was great. What can you say?
Dude's awesome. Yeah.
Yeah.
And this is where the only part we have some players flipped. I have obviously Brandon Aubrey. You had Chris Boswell. We've already talked about the numbers and everything like that. But yeah, you gave the extra check to Boswell because he performed all the way through the playoffs and the championship week.
Championship week, you got your 4 points, but it's more than 1 point, right? And these 2 players were 1 point apart at what I had them at. I had Brandon Aubrey at 192, at Chris Boswell at 191. So
I got him 5 points. Yeah, 228 versus 223. But yeah, I gave it to Aubrey. I gave him extra points for drilling the cheerleader in the head because he wrote "call me" on the ball before he did
it. Shooting a shot.
Yeah.
Now let me say that, here's a fun fact for you.
All right.
My second team in championship week curb stomped my first team championship week.
Most likely.
Second team scored 195.2 points, and my first team scored 121.7 points championship week.
Oh, buddy, the pain. Fantasy football's pain.
Yeah, and there you go. Third team had 121.5, so 0.2 behind our first team, but they also had CD Lamb throw up a goose egg because he didn't play.
Yeah,
so if CD Lamb plays, the third team beats them too. But we're looking at the body of work over the entire season, right? But I just kind of thought that was funny that my second team would have kicked the crap out of my first team in the playoffs.
I mean, that's stuff that you look at too. You know what I mean? Like, these players could be phenomenal all season, get you to the playoffs, and then all of a sudden you're out in the first round, or you're out in the champ. Like all of a sudden they'll show up and be like, "Okay, this sucks." It's great to win all year. it sucks to lose in the playoffs and the championship. So,
Yep. Yep.
You ready? There you go.
Yep. So Andre's got. I wonder what Bucky's ADP will be next year.
30. He's in the 30s.
You think he's gonna be 30 this next year?
I mean, I can
No,
give you
what
some
is he
other
going
people
to be?
who, yeah, I would say the 30. He wasn't even drafted. I mean, what was he drafted in the 12th round this past year?
Well, yeah. I mean, he was a rookie this year, but he had a really good year.
Mm-hmm.
So I could see him now. We are going to be starting to do some early rankings, Andre. We're going to be recording some videos and dropping some videos with some of our early, like top 5 for each position, and maybe some honorable mentions, that type of thing. But I think Bucky's going to end up, depending on, he'll definitely go higher in your standard leagues versus your PPR leagues. But I could see him going somewhere in the second round, as high as the second round this next year. Third
CBS has him
round,
at 13 right now, overall 13.
13,
So that's second
overall
round,
13.
early second round. Mm-hmm.
Yeah. So I definitely see that status shooting up. Let's also, the other thing you got to take into account is we got to see what happens this offseason too.
Yeah.
What type of movement are we going to have? For me, some of these players, it depends on coaching. Like I was talking about with Jacksonville, depending on what coach gets there with Jacksonville, depends on how I'm going to feel about that team. You put an offensive guy like Ben Johnson there, all of a sudden I feel pretty good about them. Now I'm not going to draft them high. I'm going to get them late, but I think they'll have a high upside. Versus if you throw like a defensive coach in there, then we'll
Yeah.
see.
I did
And
want to
that's what,
mention this real quick.
yeah,
Had him down at 24 in another outlet. So, mid second round, or third round
third,
action type
yeah,
thing. Yeah. Like I said, that's where I think I see him going. I'm not going to pay the premium, especially for Rashad White's there. And depending on the coaching, the scheme, what's going on in the offseason. So, yeah.
yeah.
All right.
And there's also rumors that Tampa's offensive coordinator could be a head coach somewhere too. Right.
Get
So if you
poached.
switch, if you switch offensive coordinators, what kind of offensive coordinator we bringing in? Is he a pass guy? Is he a run guy? We'll see. When drafting certain players, does their schedule play any factor for y'all? I'll look at bye weeks, and I don't want to try and line up too many of my bye weeks. Um, I try to kind of spread that out, but I'm not going to let it. If I have two guys that I have like 1A, 1B, and I'm deciding between two guys, and one of them has the bye week the same, let's say I'm looking at my second running back, and the two guys I'm looking at, I got them both pretty equal, and I don't know which one I'm going to take. If one of them has the same bye week as the first guy I drafted, then I'll take the other one, right? Um, just so that I don't have my top two running backs both on the bye the same week. I try to space that out, but I'm not going to let it play a huge role into it. Um, I will drafting defense. I stream my defense. So the defense that I draft, I'm looking at that week 1 matchup. And I'm going to draft someone who's got a favorable week 1 matchup. Um, some guys, if I'm maybe a little bit later in the draft, I might look at their schedule towards the end of the year, um, and see kind of who they play at the end of the season. But not a ton. For me, it's mostly bye weeks and not trying to sync up bye weeks. Try to get some offsetting bye weeks. What about you?
I mean, yeah, I don't worry about like when I'm drafting, say Saquon or Chase or you know what I'm saying. I'm taking the guy. I want the guy. I don't care if they're playing. It doesn't matter when it comes to that. Now you talk about your mid round guys, your wide receiver 3 or your flex or something like that. I might peak, but it's a loose maybe, to be honest with you. And I've kind of gotten away from bye weeks. I don't care if they all sync up 1 week. Just get the bye week over with them all. I don't give a damn. But yeah, no, bye week hell exists. It's a big thing. If half your team is out for 1 week and then the other team's out another week, it could cause two losses. Two losses are valuable. That's when you kind of want to start kind of paying attention. After you start forming your team after about the fifth round, I was going to say third, but about the fifth round, start paying attention. Start paying attention, especially if you're going to draft two quarterbacks as well. Obviously, don't draft two quarterbacks that the same freaking bye week. If you're going handcuffs and stuff like that, kind of get in the way as well. But I'd say after round 5, I start kind of paying attention to bye weeks.
Yeah. And then also, like, I'll look at it with, like, my wide receivers too, right? Because if I got 3 wide receivers and I drafted 2 with the same bye week, that 3rd one's not gonna have the same bye week. It's just, I can't have my top 3 wide receivers all in the same bye week, right?
Yeah.
So I look at that a little bit, but it's more so along the lines of if my guy is there, especially the first 3 rounds, I'm taking my guys, right? But if I have 2 guys that I'm debating on and I'm not sure which one I'm gonna go with, schedule and bye week can play a factor when I have 2 guys that are kind of the same. I'll look at, okay, oh, this guy finishes his season with, he's got New England, he's got Cleveland, and he's got the Bears. They all suck. I like that.
Yeah, I think the other thing kind of pops in where you don't win your league at your draft. We've said it a million times. It's something we stand by here. It's like, hey, you're making moves and stuff and things in that manner. But yeah, you need to be conscious of bye weeks. You need to be conscious of certain things. Strength of schedule, maybe, but then that doesn't matter with your studs, right?
But you also don't know how teams are going to be
You don't.
year in,
It's
year out,
all
right?
perspective. You don't. It's all
Uh,
like, oh, we think this is going to be this schedule. This is going to be tough, and it turns out to be a cakewalk for most of these teams. And then guess what happens? They
yeah.
get up in the second quarter, put the brakes on in the third or fourth. Don't care. Don't need it. And so then your star players or your mid level guys, say your mid level are going to be more susceptible to this because they didn't get the ball like crazy in the first half, and now they're just like, oh, we're just gonna run out the clock, man. We already got this one sealed. We're gonna put in the backups, put in the reserves.
But
So and I love about this with Duncan too. Duncan responds to people in the chat as well. He said yes when drafting certain players, their schedule factoring it all. He said yes. So we're actually going to talk. We do our picks. This is a SB Fantasy Football is a branch. What do you want to call it? An outlet from Strikeout Beer. We make all our picks on Strikeout Beer, which we're actually about to leave here. Bounce over there. It's here on YouTube. Strikeout Beer. We'll make our picks at the top of the hour, predictions, things like that. We'll actually look at the spreads, money lines, and over under set forth. From I'll pull up Bovada. Alan's going to pull up Caesars, and we're going to take a look at that. Make our picks at the top of the hour. So, but we will cover it. Yeah, we will cover it.
for sure, for
Yeah,
sure.
I just posted
Um,
that on Instagram actually today. I was like, I posted all the spread and
I saw
whatnot.
that.
But
Yeah,
yeah,
I saw that.
let's
Off of
go,
Bovada.
Bovada.
Yeah, yeah. Looking forward to that. But yeah, so check us out over on Strikeout Beer. Thank you, Andre. We appreciate that sub, brother. We're like I said, we're gonna have videos coming out every week. Are we gonna go live every week on Wednesday? I don't know. We'll see. We'll see how we're feeling, But we're gonna start doing some early rankings. I think that's kind of next up. I think next week we're talking about doing a live of our bust is what we're looking at for next week, doing another live next Wednesday at 7 o'clock, and we're going to talk about our bust from this last year. Where if you want to know all about Kyle Pitts, I'll tell you about Kyle Pitts next week during bust. Spoiler alert, he's a bust.
Yeah, we got
Um,
our bust, we got our rankings and stuff like that. So yeah, I mean, we go live. If you're new here, welcome. Anyways, Andre, welcome. But yeah, we go live during the fantasy season every week on Wednesday. I'll generally do like a Monday as well. Al will do a Saturday night little start sit action. So you'll have 3 lives. You'll probably have some shorts that mixed in there as well. We answer all the questions that are thrown upon us,
yep.
fantasy football and life.
Sometimes, yeah, some people ask
we'll
questions about life, and we got you,
yeah,
man.
yeah.
Andre said he made tons of money off Packers fans this past weekend. I'm a Packers. He said he's a Packers fan.
So is Duncan. Duncan's a
So
Packers
is
fan
Duncan.
as well. But
Duncan's
yeah,
a
no,
Packers
yeah.
fan. Sucks to suck. That's all I got to say as I'm a Lions fan. So,
Some people I know like obviously one of our buddies, Melton, right? He's a diehard Cowboys fan, loves Cowboys, all this kind of stuff, but he's a realist. And
right.
so he sits there and has to listen. And he's just telling everybody, like, listen, dude, they're not that great. They're this and that. He'll pick them apart, and they just don't listen. They do not listen to him, and he does the same thing. He can do the same. Yeah.
We're going to try and get Melton on Strike Up here next week to talk about Cowboys head coach.
I might ask him to come over. Spoiler alert: we're gonna have a space in the house next week. More to come on Strikeout Beer.
Oh, buddy. Can't wait. Can't wait. But hey, guys, thank you so much for watching. We appreciate you. Check it. We're on Instagram, X, Facebook. Check us out there. We post some stuff over there from time to time, all that fun stuff. The lives are always here and on X. We'll talk to you guys later. As always, I'm Alan.
I'm RD.
Talk to you later. Deuces.